Hello, I'm Rick Steiner, and welcome to Lux Life Discovered. We have our co-host with us today, Shannon Richmond with the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce. So welcome, Shannon.
Thank you, Rick. Always a great time.
Yes, are you ready for this podcast?
I'm always ready.
Well, it's going to be fun.
Okay.
Our guests today are Cameron and Elizabeth Spencer, and they're photographers and videographers from Arkansas that I know, and we're so glad to have you guys with us today.
Yeah, we're really excited.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're honored to be on the show today.
Well, Shannon, when you guys did my bridal show a year or so ago, and
In Arkansas?
In Arkansas, yeah.
Okay.
And I had known of them because, like, all of their work is like, I want to say a fairy tale because it's very
Aww.
magical, and you capture
Thank you.
the way you capture everything is just really so impressive. So, kind of give us a background of how you guys started, how you met, and working together, all of that.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So in a nutshell, because it's a long story, but we'll spare you of that. But we met over 10 years ago, in 2011 at our church, actually in youth group. And so we kind of had one of those moments of knew the moment we saw each other, that we were supposed to be together. And so we were sophomores in high school at the time. So that felt, much bigger than us at the time, but
Sure.
both of us experienced it. So anyways, time went on, we ended up dating and we got married in 2016. And we're from a very small town. Well, I am, of like 600 people, no stoplights, like a
No.
very small rural,
Lots of cows
yeah.
and chickens.
Oh.
Right.
yeah, raised on a farm, here in Arkansas, and I absolutely love it. But, we ended up getting married. We lived where I grew up for a little while, and I actually went into teaching. I was a 7th grade science teacher for 3 years. Yeah. And so I knew, though, going into it, even during my internship, which is a little disheartening at that time, that it wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I kind of laugh about it, and I guess I sound kind of dramatic, but I truly feel like I had a quarter life crisis, because I was roughly like mid-20s at the time, but I just spent this time getting a degree and to find out that it's not what I wanted to do. And teachers are amazing, like that is a calling, but it just wasn't for me. And so I kind of went into this mode of panic, and fear, because I didn't want to do that for 28 years, and I prayed about it a lot, and I talked with Elizabeth, and I feel like the Lord, because we're believers, but I felt like the Lord just kind of reminded me that I really liked photography, but I never actually gave it a chance.
And
so
I knew at the time that he desperately needed a hobby. That's all I knew. I was like, we've got to get you a hobby.
Yeah.
And
Or you needed him to have a hobby.
yes,
Yeah.
I needed him to have a hobby.
for her sake
Right.
and for my sake. Yeah. And so I remembered that, and I got interested in it. Even though I had never owned like a real camera, I had just used my phone growing up, but I researched, and I went to what we call YouTube University,
Yeah.
and just looked up,
Lots of hours there.
yeah, looked up all the different, stupid questions, so to speak. And then I had a photographer, a wedding photographer. She did it full time, Grace Star Photography. We will always give her credit and honor because she deserves it. But she graciously met up with me for like 3 hours, and let me ask all the questions about photography. And she's the one that helped me to realize that it could be not only a career, but
Really successful
a
one.
successful career, and just all the opportunity and freedom. And so then I just went into it hardcore, and
Shadowed under her.
yeah, she
Good.
allowed me
Oh.
to second shoot weddings with her a few times, and I learned a lot through that. And we invested into education with people like Erin Wilson Photography, which we love her and her work as well. And it just took off. And of course, we did put in the hard work, but we believe the Lord just kind of paved the
Accelerated
way.
all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't it nice to have people that you respect and look up to that are willing to let you work with them and learn from them and not feel intimidated?
Yeah. We just didn't know how open and helpful everybody would be. But I guess until you ask, you don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
pretty
think-
much everyone we've gone to with questions has
Yeah.
been willing to help and has just been really forthcoming.
Mhm.
Even in like the courses we are now, because I mean, we continue education every year. The community that we're in right now is super helpful. And even like the questions that other people are asking are really helpful because they're questions maybe we didn't think to ask ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, and I think outside looking in, we just assumed it was probably like, you know, a
Kind of
dog,
dog eat
a
dog.
dog eat dog world. Like there's only so many weddings and, you know, so many photographers and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And while that could be true in some communities, we really feel blessed, especially in this area, because it really is community over competition.
Right.
Because when they win, we win, you know, and when we win, they win, and just the whole market is elevated. So,
And that's the way it should be. And it's not that
Mhm.
way in every part of the profession, but
Yeah.
it's great when you find the people that have that mindset, because it sure makes every event much more enjoyable. And it just, like you said, you learn from it and you grow.
So do you
Absolutely.
both work as a team? How do you guys have different responsibilities? How do you do a typical wedding? Like, what are your
so
jobs?
it's really fun. Cameron is, I would say, our lead shooter. He takes on that role. But fun fact, he's colorblind,
Oh.
Are you
which
really?
is really interesting for a photographer. He is red-green colorblind, which for those who know, in the editing world, that is your tint. And so he cannot see tint much at all. I can fiddle with the picture quite a bit, and he's not gonna be able to tell the difference when the tint is super pink or super green. It all pretty much looks the same to him. And
So
so
needless to say, I cannot do the editing.
yeah, he
I was
he
gonna,
does not
I was gonna say they
photos.
probably need an editor.
Yeah, so I take on the role as chief editor, and that's where we started, I would say. Now we've picked up video, and I also get to do lead on video, which I absolutely love. I love writing and reading in general, and so I believe video is a great way to storytell, and I love it. It's new to us. We're just starting out this year, and we already have a few weddings under our belt, and I've loved what we got to do so far, and we have a lot of great weddings coming up that I get to do video for as well. I'm really excited.
And the funny thing about the video part of it is she's the lead shooter for video on the wedding day, but then I take lead on actually creating the video
Oh,
in the office. So
what
it's
a
kind of
great
swap.
team.
Yeah.
So especially when it comes to music, Cameron's the musician of the two of us. And so I can say, hey, this is where I want the story to go. And then he will get me my music and like time it out for us because I have no sense of rhythm or beat. And so he does all of that. And then I'm like, okay, so this is the story I want you to tell. Give me some music, give me the rhythm. And together we get to create a really awesome story.
Yeah.
Well, and you described it, because that's when you even without the video, just the photography, you guys do a great job of storytelling in your photography. And
Thank you.
I think that's what sets you apart a little bit from a lot of other photographers, because it's not just candid pictures that, you know, you have a wedding and these are your pictures you're going to get. It's all like it's personal to that couple, you know?
Thank you so much. We strive for that.
Yeah, and I think it happens with most photographers, you know, as they continue to learn and grow. But you know, when you first start, obviously you're just learning the basics and you just want to do a good job. And
Get
then,
good pictures.
you know, then you graduate from there and you want to create pretty pictures, like really pretty work, which is great. But then you should graduate from there, we believe, to capturing the feeling of the day.
Right.
And so that's what we really strive to do, is capture the feeling of the day, whether that's through those candid shots that are just, it's in the moment happening and we capture that, or maybe it's a created moment, which is what we call, and that could be anything from the detail flat lay, which we love to do, you know, of the bridal details, to you know, posed portraits of the bride and groom. So
that are really meticulous and thought out and meaningful.
Yeah.
And more than just, hey, smile, look at the camera, place
Right.
your hands here.
Yeah.
But really capturing the essence of who they are in a photo.
Yeah. And speaking to that, I feel like a lot of times people are, you know, kind of dogmatic on being super, super candid only, or dogmatic on being
Fine
super
art.
fine art
Yeah.
only, you know, over like so superposed. but we really like to mix it.
We
And
love
we
the
like to
combination.
have the mixture of the fine art, perfectly posed shots, created shots, and then the really fun documentary style candid photos
We
too.
love that blend.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon, I don't know if you realize this and if we've talked about this, but they shot a wedding here New Year's Eve in 38.
Oh,
And it's absolutely one of the most beautiful weddings. I have to say,
aw.
I care, who was the planner? Do you remember the planner for that event?
It was Nicole. There were kind of two. So the actual bride is with White Sage Events, who is based in California
Was it
and
Brooks?
Arkansas.
Was it Brooks' wedding?
Yes. So
Really?
Brooke, yeah, Brooke with White. No, it was Arden's wedding.
Or,
So
okay,
the
yeah,
bride,
okay, yeah.
yeah, the
I'm with
bride
you.
is Arden. Now Arden Harris, but she is a planner for White Sage
Here
Events.
in
I didn't
Arkansas,
even
she
put
is.
that connection together. So
Isn't that
yeah,
Yes,
crazy?
and so I think they took lead on planning and design, and then Nicole with Elegant Pairings,
Help coordinate day.
she
get
coordinated and
everything ready.
executed the plan. So
Okay.
it was a team effort,
and guess who their DJ was?
Scott.
Scott Lasser, DJ 38. Yeah.
and he killed it. He did a great job.
It was
He-
so much.
yeah.
That wedding was just so much fun.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
from the pictures, and it was beautiful too. And then the New Year's Eve on top of it, it was perfect. So when
It
I saw
really
that and then I saw the photographer, I'm like, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when we
Yeah,
were going to
yeah.
talk to you guys today and we were talking about who was going to be on the podcast, he described you guys as you put on a fairy tale story for
Aw.
the wedding. So it really sounds like you guys put all the little touches just to make it just right. What is your most difficult when you're dealing with a wedding? What's your most difficult problem you have? Cooperation?
So I
Never.
would say, honestly, like we've kind of got it down to a science. I hate to even word it like that,
Yeah.
but we put a heavy emphasis on the timeline, leading up to the wedding, and so I know that planners work on this as well, and we work with planners to create a timeline that works well for all the other vendors and logistics of the day, as well as the photography and videography timeline. But we will send a questionnaire to the bride that gives us all the information we need to create a custom wedding day timeline for them that meets their needs and
One that we know works.
we
with
know
the
will work
photography.
well and will
With our
flow
style.
well. So with that being said, typically we don't really run into a ton of problems. I mean,
Yeah.
of course we have, and if we do, it's usually just like hair and makeup running behind, not to throw those vendors under the bus, but if something like that runs behind, it's okay. We can be flexible and swap things around, but that does make it a little more challenging to get all
Presses
the
the rest of
portraits
the
in
day.
before the ceremony. So
I love the
would say-
questionnaire.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
questionnaires, that's really great. Have you ever sent somebody a questionnaire and got the answers back and you're like, there's no way I can work with this couple?
Well, we send that after the book.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. Is
Yeah,
there
yeah,
anybody that
so-
you've ever just not been able to because of their demands, perhaps?
So we all, sorry, I'm taking
No, go
every
ahead.
question. We like to meet with every couple before we book.
Do some sort of
Unless
consultation.
it's through a planner that we know and trust, like Rick.
Okay.
But even with his clients, we would love, to meet them as well. But we typically set up a Zoom meeting or virtual meeting with clients that are inquiring just to make sure that we
Personalities don't clash.
yeah, just to make sure that we
That's
connect.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because not only do we want to have a great experience working with them, we want them to have a great
Yeah.
experience with their photographer.
And
Absolutely.
we know we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. We're not the fly on the wall photographer that some people are looking for. We're going to be a little bit more personal. We're going to be more involved. And some people want to not talk to their photographer all day. And we know we're not going to mesh well with those people.
We're going to be your best friend on your wedding
Yeah.
day. So
But,
it's probably going to be a good thing that you like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that is important too. And, there's been one corporate event over the years and one wedding each that I knew from the very beginning it was a no, the
Yeah.
gut feeling. And
Yes.
both of them were big and the fee was great. And I did each of them anyway. And I'll be honest with you, they could have paid me 4 times as much and it still would not have been worth it. So I've learned about that gut feeling and intuition because it is important to have that connection. And I'm like you, I won't sign with anybody if we don't talk or do a virtual meeting first because I want that connection to be there. I want them to be as excited to work with me as I am to work with them. Because it just makes everything much more. Yeah.
Do you know what I liked? What I liked what you guys said a lot is you guys aren't everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. You know, some people are like, no, I want that job, I want that job, I want that job. But I love that you interview and you have, because you want that day to be perfect for everybody.
Yes,
I love that they do the extra step because anybody can just take a job,
Right.
but to know them and love them.
I think a lot of times we start there as photographers, like a lot of photographers just
You're just trying to get work.
so they take everything they can, but we're finally to a point where we can kind of vet and decide, okay, this is a job that we need to take, or no, it's not a job that we need to take. And we're no longer, I guess, like starving artists, so to speak, who are desperate to get everything under their belt. We know our workflow and we know which clients we work really well with, and even just ideally the weddings that we want to shoot.
And with that being said, that rarely happens. You know, like Rick, we've learned that the hard way because we've had a couple of experiences that I knew from the very beginning that in my gut, it was telling me, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I did it anyway. And it was a bad experience, and that is not the norm, but it has happened. And so, yes, we learned from that, and since moving forward from that, we've made some adjustments. So,
and those stay with you for years.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yes.
So, do you do anything besides wedding photography, or is wedding your niche?
Yeah. So
we've niched down.
We started with everything just because we were learning, trying to figure out what I really like to shoot. So we started with seniors, family, you know, everything except babies. We never tried babies.
We did some of our sisters, and I got peed on twice. And
that's
just not our thing.
So tried it all, landed on weddings, absolutely love weddings, which we're both hopeless romantics. I mean, we absolutely truly love it. And so it's definitely our niche.
And you know, that may be why you capture it so well, because you are hopeless romantic.
Yes.
I think that could play a big role in that. So tell me about your time. You went to England. Was it was it just vacation, or was it to learn also and to grow in your photography?
Yeah, so it happened to be a crazy idea from a planner who we love. We had talked about maybe doing a styled shoot here with her, and I think she called Cameron at like 5 a.m. and we are not morning people. So about 8 o'clock, Cameron gives her a call back, and she's like, "I'm so sorry I called you so early, but I have this crazy idea. Would y'all want to go to London, England?" And we're like, yes. Honestly, it did not take us long. We love everything European. My dad's actually from England. I've been over there a couple times, and I knew that I wanted to go back. And so when that opportunity like just literally fell in our laps, we took it.
Aww.
And so Anna with Perception by Anna Dickinson, based in Little Rock, she's the one that approached us about it. And so we love her. We loved her already before the trip. And so we were excited to be asked and to do it. And it was life-changing because it was my first time to travel to Europe, and it was much more inspiring than I ever even anticipated.
And we went in the dead of winter, so it's not like we even saw London in its prime necessarily, but everything about it, every street corner is just curated and perfect, and it's a different world. And so I think that's one thing, like when we're shooting weddings now, we want it to transport people, which you talked about, like our storytelling, like that is an aspect that we take with us, is we want our photographs to transport you. We want it to not necessarily feel like everything we shoot is in Arkansas or everything we shoot is in the United States, but like it makes you question, like, where was that photographed?
Oh,
and that's neat.
cool.
That shows it does. So,
Thank you.
So now you've got a trip coming up, you said, this summer. So kind of tell us more about that. And the neat thing about you guys traveling too, being photographers and as skilled as you are, I can't imagine all the photos you have and the way you document it and all of that. So
Yeah, that is definitely part of the fun of traveling for us, for sure.
Oh yeah, we plan days around like, okay, this day will be a photo shoot, and even sometimes it's just like of us or of we want to take building photographs or scenic photographs. We love it.
Yeah. So when we went to London, that like birthed a new vision or a new goal for us and our business. And it really just inspired us that to shoot weddings in Europe and to live in Europe for at least 2 months out of the year, preferably like July and August, because it's super hot and miserable here at that time. And so we're working towards that. And so between that and just loving to travel and not having kids yet, which is why we don't have kids yet, we have planned a trip to Italy with another couple of ours from church, or a friend couple from ours. And we're going to go to Italy for 2 weeks in July. And we're going to visit Florence and then Rome and then the Amalfi Coast and then come home. So
Wow.
and networking all along the way.
Hopefully, just even any content you can get just helps create that portfolio.
Sure.
Friends are luckily very good looking, and so they may not know it yet, but they're definitely modeling for us along the way.
There's a reason they're going. Yes.
yes, don't tell them.
No, that sounds like fun.
You know, like just getting that content from each of those places and being able to market yourselves as someone who has shot in those places, just it helps. Even like hopefully with future planners and future vendors, because honestly, like getting to know vendors, that has been, I think, probably like what has moved us farthest
a
along.
catalyst
Right.
in business. Yeah.
Well, it will, because you can, like my bridal show here in Florida has been, in Arkansas for that matter too. But the networking of the vendors, I think my vendors love that as much as they do meeting the brides, because, you know, it's amazing to me because you assume everybody knows everybody, you know, and then when they have the full day together and they visit with one another and network, and then there was a Maxine Orange, she's an artist here. One of the local photographers there went and did a shoot at her studio of her, and he made the comment, great connection with Maxine at the SEG Florida Bridal Show. And that always makes me feel good, because I like to see people networking and working together and building those bonds, because that's where your better work comes from, is referrals. You know, you can advertise all day long, but yet personal referral is priceless.
Right.
Well, and even that opportunity to get to work with vendors and truly, like, when you start to work with the same vendors over and over, you also get to create better work because you know how the day is going to flow.
There's a level of trust, another level of trust there. And knowing a vendor through social media is great, but when you can actually meet them in person and develop a relationship with vendors, it makes the world a difference.
Well, like you said, you know the personality, you know what works, what doesn't work, and so it just makes it much easier.
Expectations are set, and it just allows, because if a planner trusts us, I mean, they're not going to be worried about certain shots that they're going to want or need, and
it allows
a lot of
all the vendors to be creative.
Yes,
sure, yeah, it allows them to excel in their area, and for a planner, I mean, it's priceless, because you can't put a value on that, because if you can go to an event or a wedding and you've got the better vendors with you that excel in that area for
and
that
they know
day,
their job.
I mean, you don't have to like second guess everything.
Yeah, so nice.
Yeah, you just get the photos back and you're like, dang it.
You're like, yes.
Yes, and that's one reason we you know, put ourselves in a niche of weddings, because it's what we wanted to be and do. You know, we wanted to become a professional in that industry specifically, and so that's what we've strived to do.
With babies, for instance, after even doing just our own nieces and nephews, we realize we don't like necessarily excel at this. Or do you get cute pictures? Yes, because they're babies and all the pictures are cute. It doesn't matter what they actually look like, but we knew like there are other photographers who do this really, really well.
Mhm.
And that's who we're going to recommend and who we're going to send people to, who we're going to use one day. People who actually know how to coddle and move the baby's hands, and they're not fighting against the baby. They're utilizing what they know, and they're able to create really beautiful images. And that's what we want to do with weddings.
Exactly.
And I think that's good and you made a good point there that it's okay not to try to excel in everything. You know, because a lot of people will try to do way too much and they can't do what they're really gifted and talented, the area that they should be in, that suffers because they're trying to put their hands in too many pots. And so
I live by that, Rick.
well, from experience too,
She hears me say all the time, do it right or don't do it at all. There's just, I don't know, especially if my name is attached to it. And I've been like that since I was a young kid in school. If I'm going to do an assignment or a project or whatever, like I'm going to do it, you know, the way, or I'm not going to do it at all. So.
Well, you guys doing an awesome job. And I can't believe our 30 minutes is up already.
I know it.
Yeah. So, fast. I know it's gone by quick. So, but yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to meet you and then to follow you over the years and to see the great work that you do. So I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having us.
And then if you will, share your info, your website, your contact information with everyone.
Yeah, so you can find us at CameronandElizabeth.com. And you can find us at Cameron and Elizabeth on Instagram, Cameron and Elizabeth Photography on Facebook. And I think
Instagram's probably where we stay most updated. Yeah, so if you're wanting to really follow, Instagram's the place to go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good deal, Shannon. Anything before we go?
No, I just can't. I'm going to have to come visit your area.
I know it.
I think so, to meet all of your people.
Yes, you'd love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on today. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Lux Life Discovered. We will see you soon.
Check out Lux Life Discovered on Facebook and Instagram and on 30a.tv. See you next time on Lux Life Discovered.